Hey, welcome to a new episode. We are in Houston, Texas, working on this beautiful M600. If you go back a few episodes, we actually did another M600 in Houston, Texas. Well, here's another one. The M600, of course, is the kind of upgraded version of a Meridian, so you have a whole new wing design, no vortex generators, more powerful engine, more beautiful interior. It is just an awesome plane, and this is one well-kept example. It is about 2 years old, so overall it's really well kept. There's a little bit of staining on the underside. I can show you here, kind of in the usual spots, but overall it looks really good. I'm not seeing very much for oxidation. There's a little bit of swirling in the paint, but that's to be expected. So we're gonna start with a one-step paint correction. Well, first we're gonna wash it. So we're gonna do a no rinse wash. Then we're gonna do one-step paint correction, panel wipe it, coat it. So let's get to it. This airplane was very well maintained, so I just started with a light no rinse wash, 1:20 dilution, spray it on, wipe it off. Make sure the surface is clean, ready for polishing. We don't want to have oil or potentially abrasive debris on that paint while we're polishing. So that's basically what the no rinse wash is for. Some of the areas require just a little bit more degreasing because of the exhaust residue, but overall plane was pretty clean, so washing was a pretty quick job here. So I want to show you how a paint correction is still going to improve this paint, even though it looks really good, right? So we washed it, I'm going to put some tape down. And I'm just going to do a quick one-step polish on this half, just so you can see the color difference. Using our usual combination of hyper polish on a yellow Rupes pad in the rotary. Boom, can you see that? Let's see if you can see that. Let me zoom in. Yeah, you can see that. So you see how this side is more yellow than that side? That is all staining that was on that paint that wasn't coming off with a wash. So we removed the stained layer, got a nice new white. In an effort to get more done per polishing pass, I switched to the Hyper Wool pad from Optimum. Still using hyper polish, but that pad can handle paint residue a little bit better, so I can work in bigger areas until it clogs up and needs to be washed again. After polishing, a little spritz of 1:20 no rinse dilution actually helps remove that hyper polish residue as well. If you look closely, left half is more yellow than the right half. You can see even on this really well maintained plane, you know, the paint is still staining and it's still benefiting from that single step paint correction. On top of the wings, I encountered a lot of swirls and kind of medium depth scratches. You can see the paint correction I just did in that area makes a big improvement. So here's before and then here's after, and it just much cleaner reflection. This is much more obvious on the darker areas of the plane. So again, here you can kind of see the scratches before on the dark gray. This is the inboard wing section. And then after doing the same polish, you'll see a lot more clarity. So I used the tape line to try and show the before and after a little bit more. It's really hard to show if you're not there in person. So we're using no rinse again to loosen up that hyper polish residue and wipe it off easier. Then here, so here's before, here's after, here's after, there's before. You see all those little scratches coming up? And same on the red, so top half is before. And there's after, there was the tape line. See how it's just hazy and cloudy and it's got a lot of little scratches, and then down here it's a lot deeper gloss. Same on the white. There's all those scratches. Scratches gone. And the gray. It's too shiny for the camera. So here's the area I just polished. This is before. You can see the light reflection once the camera figures out how to focus. There's a lot of just superficial imperfections on that paint. And then if we go over to the left where I just polished, you can see it's a lot cleaner. It's not perfect, but it's much better. After polishing the whole fuselage, it is time to panel wipe. Panel wipe is that strong alcohol solution that removes any polishing oils or anything else that might be on that paint that could interfere with the paint coating. Now, it's also what I use to make sure that I have a good finish. Polishing oils can kind of be like makeup and cover up, you know, holograms or micromarring or other defects that I don't want to leave behind in the paint. So after panel wiping, if it looks good, I know that it's a good finish. So the top half of this fuselage is actually already coated. Now you see me feeling around. I want to make sure that I start and stop where there is coating. I don't want to coat too much into the coated area because that causes haziness, but I definitely don't want to miss a spot. So I'm always feeling the paint. If it's slippery, it means it's already coated. If it's more grabby, it's not. Then overlapping just enough. On this plane, I've done so many PA-46s, I have a pretty good idea of how far I can stretch coating on which panels, so I kind of have my landmarks along different body lines and things like that. It's also helpful to use visual references such as the bottom of the tail number. Now once the coating's applied, we remove the bulk with the first towel, then we use the second towel to make sure we don't have any high spots left behind. If I do leave behind a high spot, it's going to be a lot of work to fix that later on, so it really pays to pay attention to this step. Once the exterior was done, moved to the inside and started cleaning the leather in anticipation of coating. I'm using the Color Lock kind of stiff brush and using their strong cleaner. And I usually like to spray a little bit water on the surface. The strong cleaner is really quite concentrated, so if you put a little bit of water on there, it helps it glide a little bit better and gives you a little bit longer work time, so you can work a larger section before you have to wipe off the residue. So I just cleaned this half here. See how much cleaner that looks. You just get body oils, lotion, sunscreen, that kind of stuff gets on the leather and makes it shiny and not quite black. Just using the brush and some Color Lock strong cleaner, gently agitating, and here you have it. So after cleaning, we're going to protect the leather with this leather coating, which is going to help give it some abrasion resistance, and it's going to give it stain resistance as well. Installation is simple yet difficult because you only put a little bit on there, and if you put too much on there, you make it more difficult for yourself, but you have to trust that you're putting stuff on there. So usually what I like to do is take a wet, clean towel, kind of pre-wet the surface here, almost as a lubricant of sorts. Take a little bit of the sealant, then work it in. The liquid we put down helps distribute the coating. Then I usually go over it again, starting from the other side, and kind of make sure we got nice coverage. And you can kind of feel when you got it, when you don't. Plane is done. I got it all packed up, got some beauty shots, going home. Subscribe, say hi. We'll see you at the next one.